It's the beginning of the day, and last Saturday, the talk that I gave was about really using the thought process, because so often in meditation we try to stop our thinking and get really worried when we're having thoughts come up, and really think that if we could stop thinking, we'd be peaceful. And just learning how to use thought. And because the Buddha quite explicitly gave a variety of teachings that are about applying thought, and in particular the six anusati, the six recollections, like to bring up into the mind recollection of the Buddha, recollection of Dhamma, recollection of Sangha, recollection of sila, recollection of generosity, recollection of the devas, and to be able to lift those themes up and to reflect on them in different ways. The main reason to do that is to brighten the mind and to bring up a sense of well-being and happiness, a recollection of the qualities of the Buddha are really important. And one of the things I was thinking about is that in terms of qualities that are trying to be elicited or to be relied on, is trying to foster a sense of faith, of saddha, in especially those first three, the recollection of Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. So really consciously trying to lay a foundation, not in like a Pollyanna-ish way, or in a forced way. I've got to believe. It's more like, how do you bolster that confidence and a sense of well-being in one's connection with the Triple Gem? And it's really so that consciously figuring out ways to support faith, because sometimes that, especially in terms of, as we develop our practice over a long term and continue to practice over a long term, oftentimes what happens is it gets a bit dry and boring, and because you're stuck there with your mind, and just learning how to brighten it. So that says recollections of Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, but that too, ways of fostering that quality of faith, confidence, sense of, and that engenders a fundamental well-being. Similarly, with the recollections of virtue, it's not in a moralistic way, but that sila has that recollection of one's commitment to harmlessness and to integrity, and realize, that's something to really be happy about, to be delighted about, rather than worrying about some of the minutiae of rules that one's keeping, but learning the fundamental principle behind is just so kind of pure-hearted, really, to not harm, to not create dukkha for others. It's a very beautiful quality, and to delight in that. Same with generosity, in a sense of, this willingness to share, willingness to give, willingness to not hold back for oneself out of fear of not getting something or not having something. And just this quality of generosity just leads to happiness. And that last quality of the Devatanusati, which is, for me, has always kind of fallen flat, because I'm not that worried about angels and devas and celestial beings, even though it's not that I don't believe in them, but it just doesn't have much of a connection emotionally. But then I started, the actual formula that the Buddha gives for recollection of the devas is recollecting on the wholesome qualities that are the basis for a being to be reborn as a devata, as a celestial being, and in recollecting all that faith, that saddha, sila, sutta, jhaka, panya, sutta being learning, saddha, faith, sila, virtue, sutta, learning, jhaka, generosity, panya, wisdom, those qualities that those devas had that are the basis for their being reborn in a celestial realm. I also have those qualities. I've done that. I appreciate that. And so I think, one of the qualities that comes up, or you reflect on somebody else, or just on the fact that, let's say with mudita, that delighting in the goodness of others, and seeing that, so that being who is a bright being, who is accomplished, they are accomplished and have these inspiring qualities because of the goodness that they've done, and having mudita for that, because one appreciaes that, and it uplifts the heart. Then just turning the mind in those directions to foster a sense of happiness and well-being. It's just such an important foundation for nourishing one's practice and nourishing a sense of that commitment to the practice, ongoing commitment to practice and training, and that willingness to, we can be much more diligent and endure a lot more when we experience a foundation of well-being rather than just gritting our teeth and trying to push through everything.